So we toss around terms like athletic freak. We do it all the time during this time of year, but there are actually two guys in my eyes at defensive end after combine drills yesterday that warrant that moniker. And the Chicago Bears have an opportunity to draft an athletic freak. Yes, I said that, to fill their defensive end spot. And I just can't wait to see this draft unfold. Hey, everyone. I'm Sean, and this is Sports Talk Bears. And you know what? We are building something here, a positive community that we can talk through all things Chicago Bears, and it's just grown so quickly, just overwhelmed by your support. I'm pushing forward to the goal of 5,000 subscribers, and I need your help. So if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. It's a huge blessing to me. It'd just be pretty cool to hit 5K. So let's get to it. There's an interesting thing here as we break this down together. There's a certain lens to look at these defensive end prospects, and it's what I want to focus on. Ryan Poles has a type, and he doesn't deviate a lot. And at defensive end, he likes a player with two things: a threshold of arm length and also explosiveness above all other things as main metrics. And obviously, all teams like these two traits, right? But Poles, he stays disciplined in this area and he stays within this box. So let's look at a few of these guys with the emphasis in mind instead of getting blown away by only 40 times. So first off, we've got Jared Verse, he's really starting to shoot up draft boards after this combine performance. And he's likely in a two-man race on where Chicago would like to go if they pull the trigger at defensive end with our number 9 pick in the first round. Verse, he absolutely hits what Poles looks for. Poles, he relies heavily on the RAS metric, and that's relative athletic score. Here is the unofficial on Verse, and it's not just a stat measurement. It compares specific athletic traits to players of the same position. Not foolproof, but it's just a great tool, and it's one that Ryan Poles uses exclusively. So Verse is scoring out at a 9.53 out of 10. This ranks 78 out of 1,637 defensive ends from 1987 to 2024. That's just sick. He's within the preferred arm length threshold at 33.5. Then that's just barely over the 33-inch threshold that Poles adheres to. But you couple that with something more important: the fastest 40 by anyone at the combine with a 33 plus arm length and 30 plus bench reps. That's over the last 10 years. Over the last 10 years, the comparable, it's a two-guy list. We've got Jared Verse this year at 4.58 at the 40. And then we've got Myles Garrett in 2017 with a 4.64, which is crazy. Anytime you can mention a player in the same breath as Myles Garrett, perk up our ears and listen, right? Let's talk about the arm length, though. It's just barely above the line. That's the line that's typically drawn by the Bears. Once again, a half inch past 33 inches. I say it again because to the Bears, it's incredibly important. But this explosion score, it's on the lower left, coupled with a 4.58 40 time at 254 pounds. His height is so ideal at 6'4". I mean, the numbers are there across the board. It checks most of the boxes the Bears are looking for. He also put together 18 sacks in the 2 seasons he started. I mean, what else could we possibly be looking for? Well, I will answer that. What we might be possibly looking for is it's right here. It is Dallas Turner. At 247 pounds, he ran a scorching 4.4740. I repeat, he did that at 247 pounds. And Turner, the defensive end from Alabama, you guys know that. He was one of the biggest winners from the first day of combine workouts. The only knock on him, he's much shorter. He's a little lighter than ideal, though he compensates well with freakishly long arms. And an 83-inch wingspan that defies his 6'2" frame, that overcomes a ton, right? And measuring in at 6'2" and 247 pounds, but with arms nearly 35 inches long. That's a full inch and a half longer than Verse, and Poles considers that to be significant, as I've outlined. Turner also wowed by running the 40-yard dash in 4.47 seconds. That's at 247 pounds. Once again, repeat a 4.4740 at 247 pounds. I'm going to shut this story down. This story was sportsmockery.com. They just do fantastic work. They don't like Justin Fields very much, but they do incredible work. So you guys give them a watch. So let's go further on Turner. He logged a 40.5-inch vertical jump and a broad jump of 10 feet 7 inches. Those testing metrics, they land Turner in the top 5% of athletes at the combine. That's not just this year. I'm so excited. That's not just this year. That is the top 5% ever. Guys, this is the next great defensive end, and I think we need to prioritize this player, and this is just rare stuff here. A top 5 percentile athlete at defensive end ever. He checks the boxes like crazy, but the only knock is his weight, right? That bears the Bears' magic number is about 260. I think this can be easily remedied quickly. That's only about 15 pounds he can get in the gym. But this is a man who truly defines the term athletic freak. And in this case, it actually applies. Let's go to his stats too. 22 and a half sacks, 32 and a half tackles for a loss in 3 years, with a majority played under the shadow of Will Anderson. So that says something as well. This was his first year independent of him. And if this combine's any measurement, he actually might be better. You guys know I love this guy, but I want to look at a couple players that we've been talking about back and forth. A lot of you guys here love these guys. You've mentioned them, so I want to do them justice here. So bear with me here. Let's look at Chop Robinson, and let's look at Darius Robinson to finish up. Two pretty highly touted guys, ones that are coming up in our conversations a lot once again. So let's talk about Chop Robinson. A funny thing in his interview, he said when he was born, he was a 14-pound baby, and his mom nicknamed him Pork Chop. My wife would never forgive me after that, but that nickname has stuck, and here we are at the combine. He's from Penn State. He measured in at 6'3" and 254 pounds, and all he did was run the fastest 10-second split ever for a player over 250 pounds. He did so in 1.54 seconds. His total testing numbers were also elite, even topping Turner in overall speed. So what's the issue? The issue with Chop, it's his short arms. They're only 32 and a quarter inches long. That's almost 3 inches shorter than Turner. It's not nonsense. It's an issue as far as comparison here. Also, his hand size is a bit lacking, but I mean, he can't help. These are his measurables. This is his body, but the arm length discrepancy, that most likely makes him a player Poles is probably going to pass on unless he drops considerably. That's a real thing, and I think we can cross Chop Robinson off the list simply because of this measurement. But finishing up here, we've got one of the most interesting players in the draft, and that's Darius Robinson out of Missouri. I absolutely love him. You guys love him. He's listed as a more general position player, though. He's listed at just defensive lineman because he's just a tweener, and I'm going to go into that. He has great height at 6'5". Size is crazy at 285 pounds, 34.5-inch arms. Like, no worries there. But what's the assessment? He was the absolute darling of the Senior Bowl, and he's like a Swiss Army knife in his measurables, right? Size, length, super powerful. But the box he just doesn't check for Poles is that although the power is ideal, it is there in spades, his explosiveness. He just doesn't quite hit the mark. He doesn't fit the defensive end profile that we typically look for. Other teams, they draft him at defensive end in a second, and he'd be a great fit, and I think he's going to be successful. Just don't expect the Bears to. What's intriguing is if we could draft him at defensive tackle. I mean, he outscores a guy like DeForest Buckner. That's not something to be ignored, but for the draft stock he would command, likely end of the first, beginning of the second round. Defensive tackle is just not a spot we have a pressing need for. Not enough of a pressing need to spend a pick like that to fill it, so we're likely going to pass on him as well. But it's regrettable. I think he's going to be a star, and I absolutely love Darius. But one more thing. Beside defensive end, the only other position I'd like to see a pivot toward at number 9 is left tackle. Joe Alt is a fantastic candidate for that. We're going to have offensive linemen work out over the next couple days. So I want to kind of save that story, but I will absolutely be covering another profile shortly today, or even after they work out. So be sure to check it out. I also put a fantastic profile, in my opinion, on Caleb Williams, talking through all of the red flags that are in areas that we don't typically talk about. It's well beyond the combine. So if you get a chance, check that story out. I think you'll really enjoy it. So like and subscribe. It's been great building this community with you guys. You guys are so generous with your compliments, with your time, and this has just been a good experience. So let's keep growing. Let's get to 5K. Bear down, and we'll talk soon. See you, friends.